shook behind him, Snoop would be in jail right now. Or maybe just about to get parole.
Now, Keefe D's mistake is not getting the money up front, because everybody knows Diddy doesn't pay people. So now they had a handshake agreement for $1 million.
Y'all, I had a feeling Puffy wouldn't keep that tough guy image for long behind bars. Now, there are rumors from someone claiming to be his cellmate that Diddy may have made some kind of agreement with authorities. According to these unverified claims, he might have shared information about Tupac, with suggestions that Snoop was somehow connected to past situations involving Keefe D. There's also talk going around that Diddy could possibly end up on house arrest sooner than people expected.
Very slim chance that Sean Combs could be released from the detention center where he's been for the last year. Essentially, the judge has to decide whether or not he sides with the prosecution or the defense. They made arguments for Sean Combs being out.
Let's pause for a second, because this is where it gets real. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is the only person charged in Tupac Shakur's 1,996 murder. Arrested in September 2023, his trial, after several delays, is now set for August the 10th, 2026. This is a case that's actually moving, but here's why timelines are buzzing. A new report says Keith's lawyer thinks Diddy backing his version of events could seriously strengthen the defense. Basically, if Diddy took the stand and pushed back on old claims, it could shift the game entirely. Now, don't get it twisted, that doesn't mean Diddy agreed to testify or that any deal is done. It just means the idea is out there, and even the possibility alone is shaking up hip-hop. Most of you know Keefe D has said in interviews and in his memoir that Diddy allegedly put money on Tupac during the Bad Boy vs. Death Row beef. Diddy has always denied involvement and has never been charged. Now, Keith's team says those old statements were exaggerated, maybe even done for fame and money. So when your past words come back to haunt you, what do? You discredit them. And one move that's getting everyone's attention, bringing in the people you once accused and having them deny everything under oath. Meanwhile, new court documents reportedly mention Diddy dozens of times. Social media is buzzing. Being named in filings isn't the same as being charged, but when a name keeps popping up in a case that's haunted hip-hop for nearly 30 years, well, you know the chatter's gonna explode. And the history, it's messy. Back in 1995, after Tupac was shot at Quad Studios in New York, he told Vibe magazine he thought Diddy had a hand in it.
You think Puffy was involved in this shit? Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew. You know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time we say anything happy, that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. Because you see what I said in the Vibe article. I basically bowed out. It was no glad about my life.
And it doesn't stop there. Suge Knight claimed that after Tupac was shot in Vegas, he confronted Diddy and said, "You got some explaining to do." According to Suge, Diddy didn't stand his ground. He ran.
What was you said to him before he ran?
You got a lot of explaining to do. Rat motherfucker. Well, I ain't gonna cuss on your show. I said, you got a lot of explaining to convince me that you didn't have nothing to do what they said you did.
Diddy denied those allegations then, and he's denying them now. Even Mop Shakur, Tupac's brother, confirmed that Diddy once called him personally to say he had nothing to do with Pac.
Boy, Puffy called me though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, "I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brothers. You know, I know who you are, but we never met. And I just want to call you man to man, let you know that I have nothing to do with your brother's death." Now, why was he calling me, reaching out to me?
So yeah, the tension between these camps didn't just pop up overnight. It's deep rooted. There's history, real emotions, and it only gets messier. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, has claimed for years that Death Row Records itself played a role in Tupac and Biggie's murders, not just outsiders.
It was something that was all West Coast, bruh. That was all in-house. If you ask me, that was all in-house.
So you believe Tupac and Biggie was in-house?
I believe Biggie and Tupac was in-house. All had something to do with death.
And that's when Keefe D's old interviews start coming back to bite him. Clips featured in the Netflix docu-series Sean Combs. The Reckoning show him openly talking about being in the car the night Tupac was shot, even pointing fingers at others he says were involved.
Did Diddy do that to Pac?
Do you know who was responsible for the killing of Tupac Shakur?
No, I don't. I think that Sean now, in my mature mind, had a lot to do with the death of Tupac.
Oh my gosh.
Prosecutors are expected to use those past statements as evidence. Meanwhile, the defense is pushing hard, saying those admissions were lies. And Tupac's family isn't sitting quietly either. Reports say they've hired attorneys and private investigators to dig into past claims about money allegedly offered for Tupac's death. Connect back.
The late rapper Tupac Shakur has hired a team of investigators to look into what they say is a link between Sean Diddy Combs and the murder of the hip-hop star.
If new evidence ties anyone else to the case, everything changes. If not, the spotlight stays squarely on Keith. And here's where social media muddies the waters. Snoop Dogg's name is trending again. Old Reddit threads about supposed tension between Tupac and Snoop are resurfacing. Fans are replaying interviews, debating who was really in Las Vegas that night.
So let me ask you, so how was that energy like leading up to Tupac's death? Because where was you at like when you got that call? Because like I said, that was like the first serious, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this the cold about it is, I called Snoop. I said, Snoop.
Suge Knight even opened another old wound, claiming Snoop Dogg and Dre were jealous of Tupac's shine. And that jealousy is what really started cracking death row from the inside.
Pac got bigger than everybody on death row. That's when the jealousy kicked in. I guess that's when the plot kicked in. That's when the plan came.
It gets even darker. Reports say just days before Tupac was killed, he ended his friendship with Snoop because Snoop was hanging with Biggie again. That kind of split right before his death. People don't forget details like that. But let's be clear, Snoop hasn't been charged. No court document lists him as a suspect. What's happening is simply a courtroom timeline reopening, and suddenly, old memories feel fresh, but suspicion isn't proof. Keefe D is still the only person facing charges. Diddy's name keeps coming up because of what Keith said in the past and because the defense might want him to walk back those statements. That's really it. Even so, the heat on Diddy isn't cooling. He's already juggling multiple civil lawsuits and federal investigations unrelated to Tupac. His legal landscape is complicated. If Diddy takes the stand, it's huge. Speaking under oath means every word carries weight. The real question isn't did he do it? The question is strategy. Does he step into a decades-old storm to shut down old claims, or does he stay silent and avoid a courtroom firestorm? Either choice sends a message, and that's why this moment feels massive. For nearly 30 years, Tupac has lived in documentaries, books, interviews, and conspiracy theories. Now, there's a real trial with a real defendant and real consequences. The legend is colliding with the law. Every old interview, feud, and headline gets dragged back into the light. At the end of the day, only what can be proven in court matters, as dramatic as this feels. And trust me, it's wild. The truth will come from sworn testimony and evidence, not trending hashtags. So here's the question to you. If Diddy is called to testify, should he speak and clear the air? Or does stepping into that courtroom just reopen wounds from a war that never truly healed? The case is moving, the date is set, and once the trial begins, the story stops belonging to bloggers and fans. It belongs to the court, and that's when we'll finally see which version of history survives.